In a little town nestled at the foot of a snowy mountain, Christmas was always the most magical time of the year. The houses twinkled with lights, the air smelled of gingerbread, and everyone in town gathered at the square to admire the towering Christmas tree. But this year, something extraordinary happened that no one would ever forget. It all began on Christmas Eve when young Sophie, a curious and kind-hearted girl, spotted something unusual while gazing out her frosty bedroom window. Among the millions of snowflakes gently falling from the sky, one sparkled brighter than the rest. "That snowflake is glowing!" Sophie whispered in awe. She slipped into her boots, wrapped herself in a scarf, and ran outside. As the magical snowflake drifted down, it began to sparkle even brighter. Sophie held out her mitten, and the snowflake landed softly in her palm. Suddenly, a tiny voice spoke, "Thank you, Sophie. I've been looking for someone special to help me," said the snowflake, glowing like a tiny star. Sophie blinked. "You can talk? Are you a magical snowflake?" The snowflake chuckled. "I'm Crystal, and yes, I'm magical. But I'm also in trouble. The north wind scattered all of Santa's magic snowflakes across the world, and without us, Santa's sleigh won't be able to fly tonight. Will you help me find my friends?" Sophie's eyes widened. "Santa's sleigh won't fly? Of course, I'll help!" Crystal twinkled brightly. "Hold on tight." The moment Sophie touched Crystal with both hands, a swirl of shimmering light surrounded her, and she felt herself being lifted into the sky. She gasped as they flew over the snowy rooftops and toward the forest. "The search for the magic snowflakes, where do we start?" Sophie asked as they landed near the tall pine trees. Crystal sparkled and pointed toward a glistening snowbank. "One of my friends is close. Listen carefully." Sophie stood still, and sure enough, she heard a faint jingling sound. She followed it to a patch of snow and dug with her mittens. There, she found another glowing snowflake trapped under the snow. "Thank you, Sophie," said the new snowflake, whose name was Glitter. "Let's find the others." Together, they soared from place to place, under bridges, in hollow logs, and even on top of a frozen pond, finding the rest of the magic snowflakes. Each time they found one, the night sparkled brighter, and Sophie's heart filled with joy. A race against time finally, with all the magic snowflakes gathered, Crystal said, "We must hurry back to Santa. He's waiting at the top of Mount Knoll, and the clock is ticking." The snowflakes surrounded Sophie, and with a burst of magic, they whisked her to the mountain's peak. There stood Santa, his sleigh loaded with presents but looking worried. "Ho ho ho! Sophie, you saved Christmas!" Santa exclaimed when he saw her in the glowing snowflakes. "Without you, I wouldn't have been able to deliver gifts tonight." Sophie blushed. "It wasn't just me. Crystal and her friends guided me." Santa smiled warmly. "Then let's not waste another moment." He raised his hand, and the snowflakes swirled around the sleigh, forming a sparkling path in the sky. The most magical night before Sophie could say goodbye, Santa scooped her up and placed her in the sleigh. "How about a quick ride, my dear?" he asked with a twinkle in his eye. The reindeer leapt into the sky, pulling the sleigh with Sophie and Santa aboard. They soared over the town, the forest, and all the way to Sophie's house. When the sleigh landed softly in her backyard, Santa said, "Thank you, Sophie. You've given the world the best Christmas gift of all." He handed her a small box tied with a golden ribbon. "Open this on Christmas morning," he said with a wink. With a jolly laugh and a call of Merry Christmas to all, Santa and the reindeer flew off into the night. The Christmas morning surprise. The next morning, Sophie woke up and opened the golden box. Inside was a tiny crystal snowflake that glowed with a soft, warm light. A note inside read, "For Sophie, the girl who saved Christmas. This snowflake will remind you of the magic in your heart and the joy of helping others." Santa. From that day on, Sophie kept the snowflake by her window, where it sparkled every Christmas Eve, reminding her of the most magical night of her life.